Oh, good morning, everybody. It's that time again. It's that time. And it's Monday, but it's Music Monday. My favorite. We got a lot to talk about. It's a big Monday today. Big Monday indeed. A few minutes early. Started my new diet. I'm doing the fasting thing. And honestly, it's not that hard so far. It's pretty much. Basically, I just didn't eat anything this morning, and then once the stream's over, I'm gonna eat. So it is what it is. Not too worried about it. I'll probably eat around noon, I think. I'm doing math in my head. Like, when has it been 14 hours exactly? Straighten out my glasses. All right. Hi, Karen. How are you? Good morning. Thank you for being here. You are early. Thank you for being early. What's up, David? Yeah, he's been tweeting. Jimmy's been tweeting a lot of delicious stuff. But, the whole 30's over for me. So, fortunately. Matthew, happy Music Monday. Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival in ST was super fun. What's ST referring to? St. Louis? Saturday? I'm not sure. Matthew, that does sound like an amazing festival. Edwin, hi Ron, saw you on the Humanist Report. Great show. Check it out. Well, I don't know if I need to check it out, Edwin, because I was on it, but I will tell everybody else to check it out. And thank you for that. Yeah, Mike Figueredo over at the Humanist Report has been really supportive of what I'm trying to do over with Municipal Internet. And a lot of his audience, which I know a lot of you guys check out the Humanist Report as well, as you should. It's a wonderful show. They've been wanting to know what's going on as far as Municipal Internet goes. So we've been doing reoccurring segments together on the topic. What's up, Daniel? What's up, Tim? Sorry about your lunch money. Too bad. Oh, hope everyone had a killer weekend. I had a good weekend. Did a little stand-up last night, which felt good. I'm still at this point in my career, or whatever you want to call it. I don't really like using the word career, but still at this point in my life where if I don't do stand-up as much as I'd like to, I get cranky. So that's what makes it such a beautiful job, It's I'm one of the few people where if I don't get to do my job fairly regularly, I get cranky. Like it genuinely bothers me, and I have to just figure out a way to do it more. Alleged man, what's up, Ron? Any progress on the municipal internet? Right now, no. I got a lot of. I'm getting ready to leave the country next week, so I kind of got a lot of things on my plate. But our next step is to try to convince the city to get muninetworks.org to do an assessment. That's our next step. And it's going to take going to a city council, preferably with as many people as possible, and telling them why this is an issue. And I might get kind of a little petition together, but I'm going to see what kind of interest I can drum up, just going the route of city government first. And that's what I encourage everybody else to do next as well. There's an episode of the Humanist Report where we break it down. Placone, Schultze, howdy folks, what's up? Good to see you. So anyway, yeah, that's where we're at for Muni. And we're almost at 30, everybody. Daniel wishes everyone a happy Music Monday. I do as well. We got a lot of people are sending music articles. We got some fun music stuff to go through. And today is Indigenous Peoples Day, formerly known as Columbus Day. So some people are tweeting some stuff about that. So we got a lot to talk about. It's going to be a fun one today. You know me, man. Mondays are always my favorite stream of the week. The Music Monday. And by the way, another thing I was going to mention here before we officially start. I was really proud on Wednesday when Lee Camp was on, and Lee was just like, "Wow, I didn't expect to talk about music on this interview." And I was like, "It's what we do here. It's what we do here. We like to make the connections. We like to make the connections." What's up, Kim? Good to see ya. Schultze, Romplicon, watched some of your stand-up on YouTube. Great stage presence. Liked your old 80s peasant cut, too. Thank you, Schultze. Man, that could refer to a number of haircuts I used to have. There's some stand-up on me. There's some stand-up on YouTube of mine that's a little older. I used to have long hair. So there's a little bit of long hair Ron doing some stand-up. Johnny Ramone's birthday is today. I didn't know that. We talked about them not too long ago when we were talking about how a couple of the Ramones are Republicans. I still love their music. I totally still love their music. Jordan, isn't it still officially Columbus Day? I'm pretty sure here in Los Angeles it is Indigenous Peoples Day. But yeah, in some places I believe it's still Columbus Day. I believe that is true. Guys, we are over 30. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. I am Ron Placone, your host. It is Music Monday. What happens on this show? You guys tweet me articles. You send me ideas over on our Reddit, however you want to get it to me, preferably by Twitter. And that's how we build the show. I'm seeing everything for the first time. You're seeing everything for the first time. And we figure out what's going on in the world. Join the chaos. The world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. The world's first improv news show. However you want to call it. And today's Music Monday. So we got a music topic to start out. We got some music articles too, which is going to be fun. So over the weekend, I went to go see Alkaline Trio, one of my favorite bands. They're a pop punk band. They have kind of a macabre tinge to it. They're out of Chicago. They've been around since about '96, and their new album, I'm really enjoying. I'm really digging their new album. Some people have been critical of it, but I thought it was a really good album. Kind of like some of their. It reminded me of some of their earlier stuff, but in a good way. It's certainly not just recycling the same album. It's different, but it kind of has some of those elements that just makes their songwriting so great and enjoyable. So I really dug the show, and but here's my topic for today. And there's no right or wrong answer to this. So if you feel differently than me, it's okay. Don't feel bad or ashamed. This is just my take on the whole thing. But I found myself in a situation at the show that I have not found myself in for a number of years. I was in the pit, everybody, and man, I feel like I'm too old for that stuff. So here's the deal. I was standing towards the back. When I was young and I was in high school and I would go to punk rock shows, I used to love to go in the pit. I loved it. It gave me a sense of community. It gave me a sense of belonging. It was kind of a cool way to kind of get some aggression out in a harmless manner. And I was into it. I was into it a lot. And if some people are still into that in adulthood, that's okay. I think that's totally cool. There's nothing wrong with that. If you feel like, gee, I kind of outgrew that chapter, I think that's okay as well. And I'm in that latter camp. Feel like I kind of outgrew it. And now, when I say going in the pit, I'm not referring to the people that are going out of their way to try to hurt other people. If you do that, you're an asshole at any age, and you're not. That's not what it's about. So there are some bad apples that do that kind of stuff. You're an asshole all the time. Just so you know, that's not what I'm referring to when I'm talking about going in the pit. So there are those people. They're trying to actually hurt other people. They're always in the wrong. That's just how I feel about it. But the other, I would say 95% of everybody, that's fine. But I was standing towards the back with, an Alkaline Trio. They've been around a hot minute, so they have there was all ages there, right? I mean, there were some people that were some of the newer generation that found them recently, that were in their teens and 20s, and there were a lot of people in their 30s because they grew up with Alkaline Trio. That's where I fell into, and I was standing towards the back, and most of the people around me were my age, but it was a Friday night, and they were drinking. I wasn't, because it was my first day off the whole 30. I wasn't ready to introduce alcohol back into the fold yet because I ate a pizza. Which, by the way, thank you for everybody that participated in the Twitter poll. You may remember that I put out a Twitter poll where I said, what should I eat for my first day back? Pizza won. I'll be honest, I wanted to have pizza anyway, but pizza did win the poll. Thank you all for your participation. I had a pizza. I ate the whole freaking thing. And I felt great. But anyway, getting back to this story, I go, and there's these people around me. They're around my age, and they go. The one guy, I overheard this. All right, this guy goes, "Man, you know what's depressing?" He said this to his friend. He goes, "Everybody here puts a suit and tie on Monday, man." That's what he said. And I felt like going, like, actually, I don't. So not everyone here. I don't do that, actually. I didn't say that, but I'm sure a lot of people did. And I bet a lot of people, this is Los Angeles, I'm sure a lot of people do different types of gigs and things that maybe they enjoy what they do. You know, maybe they work for a record label. Maybe they work for a punk rock PR firm where they do tour promotion. Which, by the way, I'm actually looking for some tour PR. If any of you out there specialize in that kind of thing, and are looking for an opportunity, drop me an email. Anyway. So he said that, and then that same dude, shortly when the music started a pit. So what I think was going on was there were a lot of people that were nostalgic for their youth. It was Friday night. They were drinking. Alkaline Trio is definitely a drinking band. They have a lot of songs about drinking and drugs. And it used to be my favorite music to listen to later in the night when I was hammered and everybody was drunk and the party was clearing out. Alkaline Trio is one of those things we would put on. And, you know, I have a lot of fond memories attached to that band. I have a lot of fond nostalgia attached to that band. And one of the more fond memories was actually recent. A couple years back when I was living out of my car, and it was a really tough time in my life. I did have a few bright moments that made the difficult times surmountable, that I knew I was going to come out the other side. And one of those was spending a lot of time with my friends. And some of my best friends in the whole wide world live in Chicago because I went to college at Indiana University. So I know a lot of people in the Midwest, and a lot of people from IU end up in Chicago. That's a pretty common thing. Some of them end up out here. Some of them end up in New York. So, I mean, they end up all over the place. It's a Big Ten school. But a lot go to Chicago. And some of my friends were no different. And at one point, two of my close college buddies and their wives lived on a... They lived in like this flat thing where there was a top floor and a bottom... Or top floor and a bottom floor. I did it backwards. Top floor and a bottom floor. And one group, my buddy Rod and his wife lived on the bottom floor. My buddy Patrick and his wife. We were all college buddies because they all, met in college, ended up getting married. They lived on the top floor. So one year they did a Harry Potter themed party in the entire building because they had their part on the bottom floor and then the other part in the top floor, and they did a Harry Potter themed party in the entire building. And I drove out to Chicago for it. I was in the Midwest anyway, because a lot of my tour dates were in the Midwest, so I just drove to Chicago for Halloween. And when I was close to their house, I, of course, was blasting Alkaline Trio. And one of the songs I was blasting right before I parked and went to the party was a song called I'm Dying Tomorrow, which is a song about just having a great time at a party. And it's like, I'm dying tomorrow. It's a beautiful song, and I was really feeling it. I was wailing. And then I went to the party, and I had a great time. And it was like college all over again. We all got hammered. We all crashed on the couch. And the next morning, because we were all grown-ups, instead of just ordering the cheapest pizza imaginable like we used to do, we stumbled to brunch and had brunch. So, the spirit was still alive and well, even though we've all matured a little bit. So anyway, I have a lot of great attachments to this band. I was stoked to see them, but I was a little surprised a mosh pit broke out. They're not a super moshy band in the first place. Like, some of their songs are very dark and, like, slower. So they totally are not a moshy band to begin with. So it was really weird that even standing in the back, it was one of the rowdier shows. Yeah, Jordan's pointing that out in the chat right now. He's like, yeah, Alkaline Trio is not a band I think of. Me neither, Jordan. It was weird, but this pit just broke out, and we were standing in the back, and I think everybody, like, they were just like, we're older now, but we want to relive our youth, and that's okay. My thing was, why aren't you guys further up front? All right, this is going on up front. I don't know why you need to do this here. I'm not really looking to do this. I feel like I kind of outgrew this. I'm older now. Don't need to do this to enjoy the music now. If you still do, that's fine. Maybe go up front, I was worried. It was me and my girlfriend. We were just trying to enjoy the show. Although she was not taking any shit. I was like, do you want to move? She's like, no, I'm not moving. If we move, that means we gave up. And I'm like, all right, fair enough. And she's like, I'm throwing an elbow to the head, though, if anything. I'm like, all right, okay. And she was not, yeah. She was holding her space, if you will. She was holding her ground. It was pretty, her inner Boston came out. She was not having it at all. I was like, good for her. And Daniel's saying she's right. She was right, I mean, I would have been cool to move. I would have been cool to be like, all right, you kids have fun, even though you're not kids. You're my age. Some of you are probably older than me. But, yeah, I get it. That's okay. So anyway, I guess my question is, when are you too old? When are you too old for the pit, in your opinion? If you feel that, and if you don't feel that way, that's fine too. Again, it's totally fine. If you feel like, I like to relive that, and I still do that, that's fine. Go to the front if you don't mind, because some of us, we're a little older, we outgrew it, Alkaline Trio is not the type of band where the pit's going to be totally throughout, but we had this handful of about 6 or 7 people, and pretty much everyone else did not want to participate. They just wanted to, just kind of, get into it their own way. But all it takes is like a small handful, and one of the people that really tried to instigate it, the guy that made the tie comment, he was a larger man, and he was pretty sweaty and kind of gross. So that wasn't fun. But I mean, I still enjoyed the show. It didn't detract from my enjoyment. It was just a little annoying. And my girlfriend was being verbal. She's like, I'm going to start throwing elbows. I'm like, all right, okay. You do you. And but I threw a couple as well. Sometimes you got to, especially when you're a short guy. It's not too. It's just kind of like, hey, I'm here. It wasn't a violent thing. It was just like, hey, this is my place. It's for people that have never done it. It's a hard thing to explain, but for people that have done it, they know exactly what I'm referring to. So let's see what you guys are saying. Schultze saying, I like Harry Potter. Ron is actually my favorite character in all those books. What was fun for me at that Harry Potter theme party? All I had to do was put on a sweater, a shirt, and a tie, and shave, and I was ready. Because I was Ron. It seemed like the obvious choice. And, the one thing I did to get in theme, I'll be honest, I'm not really hip to Harry Potter. I've only read one of the books, and I've seen 2 of the movies, and that's it. I'm not hip on Harry Potter. I know I'm not cool, but I'm not hip on Harry Potter. So I chased one of the dogs around and was yelling Scabbers to the dog all night. Like, I would chase one, because my friends, I love their dogs. And they got to know me very well, because I would pass through Chicago all the time, and I lived in my car. So, when you pass through and you live in your car, that's one of those situations you find yourself in. You're crashing with your friends in Chicago a lot. So I hung out with the dogs a good bit. So I would chase one of the dogs and I'd be like, Scabbers! That was what I did. And it was a fun party. It really was. And my costume was very simple, which I liked. Daniel saying 25. Some of you guys are giving a shout out for throwing the elbows when you got to. Let's see. Marsha loves Harry Potter. Tim says Harry Potter is adult dress up. Some of you guys are saying 23. Tim's saying 34. Jordan's saying I'm 29. I still hop in the pit on occasions. 90% of the shows I go to, I just stand in the back. Yeah, I'm kind of at 100%. Garden Gnome, I think the last time I moshed was at the St. Patrick's Day Fest in Phoenix in like 2007 or 2008. The last time I moshed was Friday, but before that, I want to say the last time was I was 20. Last time I voluntarily moshed, I was 20 years old. And even then, I was like, I think it's, and I know that some people like to do it longer, and that's fine. I mean, hey, you can be in your 50s and still like to do it for all I care. I mean, that's totally cool. Just, don't start one if nobody else wants to. If you're around and nobody else wants to do that, go where people want to do it. That's all. Enoch is saying, working at a club, we once had a pit turn into a big fight with maybe 12 people. We ended up throwing chairs in between them all to make trip hazards that tackled them all. Yeah, sometimes it turns into that. I would say most of the time it doesn't. But sometimes it does turn into that. And, of course, that's not good. I'm not endorsing that. My experience in the pit, quote-unquote, as a youth was 100% positive. I never had anything turn violent, never anything turn bullying. And I include this. I include Friday. Everybody was just having a good time, reliving their youth. People were kind of singing along together, smiling at each other as they were singing. There's nothing wrong with that. I just would have preferred to not have it. Because, again, not my thing anymore. If it's still people's thing, that's fine. But, in this case, there were about 6 people that wanted to do it, and about, 10 or 15 that were like, why are you doing this? So, eventually it kind of turned into a circle, but, it would bleed into everybody. Again, no big deal. Just my thing. I'm too old for this. It's too old, in my opinion. And again, that's just my take. I would say 20s, after 20s, it's like, that's when I feel like I'm too old. But that's just me. Statutory Grape feels otherwise. They still go in the pit. They're 34. Garden Gnome says there's no age limit for the pit. I agree. Do what you want. I agree. Just a conversation piece to see what people prefer. Let's see. I once went to a pit so big it went outside the venue. That's pretty badass. I'd imagine that'd be at a hardcore show. Chili's pointing out guys love being punched in the face. I don't know about that. You don't see a lot of punching in the pit. It's not supposed to go down that way. And I will say, Jilly, there were a lot of women in every pit I've ever been in. There were a lot of women in there too. It was not a gender discriminatory activity. Game of Thrones is not an all age appropriate for elementary schoolers. I've never read the books, but I've watched the show, and I think I'll go ahead and agree with that based on the show. Daniel, I had to knock a 300-pounder on his ass one time. He was going around cleaning clocks and punching my... Well, that's not cool. Yeah, that guy, that's one of the bad apples, man. Let's see. I got shoved out of a window. Jeesh. All right. Yeah, Jordan, I'd say that's pretty crazy. You got shoved out of a window. No, it's never happened to me. Never happened to me. Damn. Were you okay? Did you get hurt? I mean, you were in 8th grade. That's like the time where we kind of all feel like we're just sort of invincible. I used to live in Biloxi, Garden Gnome says. That's really cool. Are you still in Mississippi? Because I'm actually trying to tour Mississippi in March. Worst pit ever for me was Red Cross's set at the ATP Festival. Had to deploy Ron's girlfriend's tactic to avoid injury. I kind of did too. What I did was I did sort of like the fist pumping thing. So it's like, like don't come near me or you're going to accidentally get clocked. And I don't want to do that. But that's just sort of me claiming my space, And nobody did. Like, everybody was fine. It was totally, Again, it wasn't a big deal. I just thought it'd be a fun topic to talk about. Because it's like, when did you guys decide? If you decided. Some of you still go in. Some of you decided 30s. Some of you decided 20s. For me, I decided 20s. Now, if I'm ever in a pit, it's by accident. It's by, I didn't expect this to happen here. I mean, I should have maybe, you never know when something's going to break out. I mean, I was at a Morrissey show that got rowdy before. Freaking Morrissey. And it was because it was like a handful of like biker hooligan dudes, and they wanted to kind of be disruptive a little bit, and they got a little rowdy. Similarly, I've been at hardcore punk shows that were kind of subdued. I mean, you never know. It's really weird, but I was not expecting an Alkaline Trio show to get rowdy. I mean, I was at an Against Me show, and it was way more tame compared to this Alkaline Trio show. And I think it's because, I think part of the reason was Friday night, dudes that have been listening to the band for years and years, they're drinking, and they want to just kind of live their youth. And there were some girls in this pit as well, by the way, but it was, dudes started it. It was like 4 dudes that started it. So we have answers all around. Answered all around. And Tim gives a shout out to his old band, Reginald Pigfucker. I bet you guys got played on the radio all the time. That's awesome. Cool. Oh, wow. Trineb Fine. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your screen name right, but that is, I saw Black Flag at the Cuckoo's Nest in Costa Mesa in 1979. That is freaking awesome. Wow. Right in the SoCal area, you saw Black Flag. That had to be a special thing. Did you realize you were like witnessing history? Like did you realize like you were like, this is going to be something people talk about years from now? There's going to be a book about this shit that wins a Grammy. Like were you thinking that? Or were you thinking, what the fuck just happened? Like, what were you thinking? Merlin, hello, over in the UK. Good to hear from you. And I will see you very soon. October 17th, I'm doing a set in London. October 22nd, I'm doing a set in Dublin. I'm coming over to your neck of the woods, mostly for vacation, but I'm doing a couple guest spots at shows while I'm over there. So if you're in the area, come hang out. Please. I got punched in the face at a Naked Ray Gun concert by a girl for no reason. Kate, that's not cool. That's not cool at all. Sorry to hear that. Never been punched. Knock on wood. Never been punched. Never saw anything turn violent, actually. You know what? I take that back. I saw a band called Living Things, and the lead singer started like beat the shit out of this guy in the audience. It was actually kind of ridiculous. And the guy in the audience, I was on the singer's side. I was really on the singer's side. Because what happened was, they were just doing their thing, and they were doing good. They put on a good show. It was good music, whatever. And the guy from Living Thing, this dude jumped on stage, and he was hammered. And this guy gets on stage, and he grabs the microphone, and he goes, does this guy want to be Mick Jagger or what? Look at this Mick Jagger. And then he pushes him off the mic, and he's like, dude, you got something to say, man? And he's like, Mick Jagger, everybody. And then he wouldn't get off stage. Like, it was sort of like, dude, get the fuck off stage. Dude wouldn't get off stage. So they just kind of start the next song. They're playing. The singer waits for a break in the verse, and then he puts the mic back in the stand, and he fucking jumps on top of the dude and just starts wailing on him. And then they go off stage. He throws the guy off stage, then jumps off stage. The dude gets a chair, and he just kind of like pushes the dude forward, and the dude drops the chair and then just falls over, and then security jumps in. And, at the time I was like in my early 20s, and I was thinking, yeah, fuck that guy. I mean, he just interrupted the show. So that's the only fight I ever saw, actually. So, Kate, my husband has a friend who played with Gigi Allen. Holy shit, Kate. I really want to have a conversation with your husband someday, because that's freaking awesome. That's nuts. By the way, I got to give a shout out to Kate. Kate is a very, very generous person. Some of you guys remember, some of you guys might remember one time Kate went to give me $3 in the super chat and accidentally gave $300. And I said, look, we'll work it out. Don't worry about it. I'll get it back to you. It's no big deal. But they should be able to reverse that for you. I'm sure they'll work it out. So Google did reverse the payment for Kate and gave her her money back. And then they took it away from her again. And it took that long. This happened a long time ago. But they took it back from her again. So she told me that it happened, and I said, well, I'll get you your money. Just, let me know how. I'll PayPal it to you. And she said, I want you to keep it, which was beyond generous. And Kate, please respond to my email. I want to send you some swag. It's the very least I can do. So respond to that email and let me know so I can send you some stuff. But yeah, that was like beyond generous of you. And that sucks that... That's so dumb that they reversed the payment and then reversed it again. So, guys, in the future, if anybody does that, we'll just solve it between us right away. We won't wait for the super chat mechanism or Google to get involved. We'll just solve it ourselves right away. If you ever accidentally give me hundreds of dollars and you didn't mean to, we'll just fix it between us, like, immediately. We won't let any other parties get involved. That's the best way to do it. But Kate, thank you so much. That's beyond generous of you, and got to give you a shout out. And please respond to my email so I can send you some cool stuff. And I look forward to seeing you in Chicago, because Graham Elwood and I are for sure doing a show in Chicago in 2019. We're doing the Midwest. We'll probably be in Chicago. We'll be in Detroit, I think. We'll be in Indianapolis or Bloomington, one of the two, maybe both. We'll see how things pan out. And I'm totally looking forward to our Midwest tour. We're going to do it in the summer because you guys know me. I'm fragile. And, wow, this has been going on a long time. All right. So we talked about the pit. We exchanged some good pit stories. And you guys have some awesome ones. We have people that have seen Black Flag, people that know people that perform with Gigi Allen, people that got thrown out of windows, people that got punched, people that have been to shows so big they had pits that were bigger than the venue space. You guys are the freaking coolest group of people ever. I wish there was some way we could all do this in one space in person, because I feel like it would be the coolest fucking party ever. So yeah, Music Monday is freaking awesome on Get Your News On with Ron, because you guys have some cool fucking stories. So this is from Celeste. Let's go here first. I already gave this a retweet. And something pretty cool happened over the weekend. Surviving members of Nirvana reunited during a Foo Fighters encore. And Joan Jett was one of the singers standing in. They also did something similar when they got inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Saturday night, the Foo Fighters played a set at the San Bernardino Cal Jam Music Festival. It would have been just another concert, except for the encore, when towering Nirvana bassist Chris Novoselic walked on stage. He, Gruel, Deer Tick guitarist, and singer John McCauley launched into a nearly half-hour-long set of Nirvana's greatest hits. Then Joan Jett jumped in. She covered Breed, Smells Like Teen Spirit, and All Apologies. That is freaking awesome. And they're pointing out that Nirvana did do that. They did something similar for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. I know Joan Jett was one of the singers that sat in when Nirvana got inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Because, Kurt couldn't be there, obviously. He died a long time ago. And, man, that's I wish I could have been there for that. I've seen the Foo Fighters before. I don't really have a desire to see them. I love their show, don't get me wrong. If I had an ideal opportunity to see them again, I would. But it was kind of one of those, like, okay, I've seen them. And I enjoy their music and I enjoy their show, don't get me wrong. But, man, if I knew something like that was going to happen, I would have been like, I got to be at that frickin' show. Because, seeing Dave Grohl do Nirvana's tunes and seeing Pat Smear, again, let's keep in mind, I don't think the article mentioned that, Pat Smear was also in Nirvana for a couple years. And Pat Smear's awesome. So, you know, let's not forget, you don't just have, technically you have 3/4 of Nirvana, not 2/3, because Pat Smear was in the band for the last couple years. So as far as I'm concerned, you have 3/4 of Nirvana. And, you know, that's still pretty special. I met Chris Novoselic. I don't know if I ever told that story before. But Chris Novoselic, I used to live in Seattle. Chris Novoselic, to my knowledge, still lives in the Northwest. And a while back in the mid-aughts, I want to say this was probably around 2008 or so, Chris Novoselic was playing bass in Flipper, the punk band Flipper. And Flipper was doing a show in Seattle at this punk venue called the Fun House, which we actually did a video about not too long ago because it's in danger of closing. And the Fun House is right across the street from the Seattle Center. There's like the Space Needle, and then there's the Fun House. Now, on the other side of the Seattle Center, there used to be a comedy club called Main Stage Comedy Club, and that was the comedy club I started at. It's no longer there, but that's the comedy club I started at. And I was emceeing the evening there. I was still a pretty new comic, so I mostly did opening spots and MC spots. And Flipper was playing at the Fun House. So I really wanted to go to the show, and I would always talk music with the bartender, Kat. Kat was really cool, and her husband played in a punk band, a local punk band called Nothing Pretty. And I've seen this band before, and yeah, we would just talk music. And she knew I really wanted to go to that show, but I was emceeing. And she told me after the second show, the show had just let out, I was just sitting at the bar having a gin and tonic. And she goes, "Hey, Ron." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "I just got off the phone with my husband. The show's still going on. They're going to come back out and do an encore. If you run to the venue right now, the door guy's waiting for you, and you can go in." So I ran to the venue, and I was in like a suit. This was like an upscale comedy club, so I was in like a suit jacket. You had to wear a suit jacket to perform. So I'm like in a suit jacket. I'm running, and I'm like, I gotta get there. And I get to the door, and the door guy just goes, "You must be Ron." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Dude, you're a little too late. They're all hammered now, but you can go in if you want and hang." And I was like, "Okay." So I go in, and I just see a who's who of like Seattle music, because by now the main crowd had cleared out, and it's just a handful of people. And I see, Kim from Soundgarden. And I see Chris Cornell was there. This is before Chris Cornell died. And I see a couple dudes from Mudhoney. And I see Chris Novoselic walk by carrying his bass. And he's just hanging out. And I'm like, it's Chris Novoselic. I can't not say anything. And I'm like, well, what do I say? I can't say something about Nirvana. I would be the 4 millionth person to say that. Plus, what would I say? Like, was Nirvana cool? Was it neat to play there? He'd be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? So I was like, you gotta, dude, man, you're already out of place because everyone here knows everybody. This is the who's who of the Seattle music scene, and you're a lone dork in a suit jacket. Don't fuck this up any more than it's already fucked up because you're here. So I see Chris, and I just go, "Chris!" And Chris, he's almost 7 feet tall. I'm 5'4". So he literally has to, like, hunch over to see my face. And he does. He hunches over just so he can see my dumb face. And he goes, "What?" And now Chris, we have a lot in common when it comes to politics, too. He's into lefty politics. That's something a lot of people don't know about Chris Novoselic. And he's a farmer. And he writes a column in the Seattle Weekly, or at least he did back when I was living there. I don't know if he still does. And I go, "Your last column was great," which I didn't read his last column, but I had read some of his columns. And I was just hoping he wouldn't ask questions. I was like, "Your last column was great, dude. I'm a regular reader," which was true. I just happened to not read the last one. And I was like, "Dude, I read your columns all the time. I really love the work you've been doing, post music, and I enjoyed." And he was like, "Oh, fuck, I wasn't." So he's like, "Dude," and he fucking shakes my hand. He's like, "How you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm fucking great." And he's like, "Dude, I'm really hot. I gotta go." And I'm like, "That's cool. I'm gonna remember this for the rest of my life. You were in fucking Nirvana, dude." This was like, I mean, Nirvana's like right up there with the Beatles for me. So anyway, thank you for sharing that, Celeste. That's really cool that happened. I'm bummed out I couldn't have been there, but what are you gonna do? That's how that's how it works. So we got another article here, and this looks like a fun one. This is from David. And, in case you were wondering how big of a prick is Brett Kavanaugh, this article is here to tell you. Brett Kavanaugh is also the shittiest kind of music fan. Who would have thought? He was in a bar fight after mistakenly identifying the lead singer of UB40. People go to concerts to have fun. It's supposed to be a safe space. So here's what happened. Brett Kavanaugh went to a UB40 show with some of his friends. And he started here. Let me see where it explains what happened. I didn't want to like read the whole thing cover to cover. In 1985, Kavanaugh and his friends hit the bar after a UB40 concert and got into a fight with a man they thought looked like the band's singer. So when the man called Kavanaugh and co. to stop staring at him, they reportedly began assaulting him. So he threw a glass and hit the man in the ear. This is what Chris Dudley, a Yale basketball player who is friends with Mr. Kavanaugh, he did that. It's a dumb story about a group of shitty men who are the worst type of dudes at concerts. That is the worst type of dudes at concerts. He also made sure to note that Kavanaugh, this is the person telling the story, he also made sure to note that Kavanaugh clearly didn't understand UB40's music. It is a big surprise to find out that Kavanaugh used to come to see us in his Yale days. You don't expect a right-wing Republican to follow a left-wing reggae socialist band from Birmingham. But we used to sing about really heavy stuff and wrap it up in frothy, happy tunes, so a lot of people who got into us had no idea what we were singing about. Maybe he just loves reggae and didn't listen to our lyrics. Yeah, exactly. He's just a bro that goes to concerts like that to ruin it, doesn't understand the message, just like when you have people like Paul Ryan listening to Rage Against the Machine. You listen to Rage Against the Machine, you know music has lyrics, right, you idiot? Or were you just rooting for the wrong side? Like, they're celebrating the machine. No, they're not, Paul. I mean, how would it make you feel if the music you love, the musicians who made it, asked you not to listen to their music? How shitty would that make you feel? How do you not realize I'm on the wrong side of things? If fucking Mick Jagger writes a hate song about you, Mick Jagger thinks you're shit, George W. Bush. The only band you could get to play your inauguration is Three Doors Down. Three Doors Down. Because they don't have political views. Because they are generic in every way imaginable. They are the most generic thing to ever happen to music. Like if Walmart had a soundtrack, it would just be Three Doors Down. You know a band whose music you can find easily in a Walmart? Three Doors Down, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know that for sure because I haven't been in a Walmart in years. But I'm sure that's a thing. Yeah, so Brett Kavanaugh, also a shitty concert going. Who saw that coming? Everybody did. Everybody did. What a jerk. And then you're the type of person, you're staring at a person, and they're like, hey, I'm not who you think I am. Stop staring at me. Even if I was who you think you are, you have no right to stare at me. And then they make it out like you're an asshole and start fighting you. What a gross human being. That's just gross people that do gross things. Ugh. All right, I'm on the timeline. Edwin points out that it's Indigenous Peoples Day, so he shares the song from Paul Revere and the Raiders Indian Reservation. I'll go ahead and give this a Get Your News On with Ron retweet. And it is Indigenous Peoples Day. Some still refer to it as Columbus Day. Those are the people that are wrong. You know, I gotta say, as an Italian-American, I'm really glad we're finally not calling it Columbus Day anymore. And we're finally... you know, when you're an Italian-American and you know what actually went down, this is a sort of embarrassing day for you because it's people that share your background that still celebrate Columbus Day. And most of them don't know any better. I hope. I think some do, and they're just, being bad people. Like it's like, well, everything's based on yeah, but why do you need to celebrate this guy? Why would you celebrate this guy? There's no reason to celebrate this guy. There's none whatsoever. I say, if I ever celebrate Columbus Day, I would go out with my my Native American friend Homer. We put together this scenario together where we were going to go out and we were going to celebrate Columbus Day. The way we were going to do it, we were going to go out for beers, and we both decided it was appropriate for me to pay. We're like, drinks are on you, Ron. I feel like that's, since we're acknowledging this part of history, given where you come from, given where I come from, drinks are on you. I was like, that's fair. Beer's on me. And then we were going to go back to his apartment, at which point I was going to kick him out of the apartment and claim I was there first. That was that was going to be our theme. And I still, a lot of people, I once got booed for doing a Columbus bit on stage, similar to what I just said. I once got booed for that because it was in Western Pennsylvania, large Italian-American population. And somebody once said to me, they're like, what do you think your ancestors would think if they heard you criticizing Christopher Columbus? And that's where people are just so ignorant because it's like, dude, my ancestors, like most people's ancestors in America that came from Italy, are from the south of Italy. They were poor. They hated people like Columbus. Why? Because those were the people oppressing them. They were poor. They had nothing. Why would you go from Italy to Ohio? Have you ever been to Italy? It's a freaking paradise. You would go to Ohio from Italy if your other option was starving. That's why. That's why you do that. That's why they're over here. They're poor and oppressed. If they came back to present day and saw that we had a Columbus Day, they'd be like, that guy? You have a day for that guy? What the fuck are you thinking? Why would you? That would be like if we went to the future and people were like, we celebrate America. Here's a Donald Trump Day. Wasn't he your hero? No, most of us hated that fucking guy. Christopher Columbus? Are you serious? That's what they would say. They'd be so confused. They'd be like, some of the greatest artists in the world came from Italy, and all you did for them, you named a couple cartoon turtles after them. And you gave a holiday to this asshole? What's wrong? Who taught you history? Let us see these books. What were they teaching you guys? That'd be like if we went to the future and be like, we got a Donald Trump Day, and we have this cartoon gopher who fights crime, and we named him Martin Luther King. Like, what's wrong with you? You guys got this totally wrong. Holy shit. There should be a cartoon villain named Donald Trump and a holiday for Martin Luther King. You guys screwed it up big time. So yeah, Christopher Columbus is not a good guy, and Edwin points that out on this day. And I know in Los Angeles, where I live, they do call it Indigenous Peoples Day now. I don't know where it's like everywhere. I know it's not a federal national thing yet, but it needs to be. Just one of those things. We are almost out of time already, guys. All right, this is from Marcus. And this might be our last story for today. I'll go to the chat to end the show. But this is from Marcus. By the way, Marcus, happy beginning of NHL season. Well, we'll chat more at the end. Let's get to this article first, and then we'll end with the chat like we always do. Congressman says end the war in Afghanistan. All right. On the 17th anniversary of the beginning of the war in Afghanistan, one American congressman has called for its end. That's the problem. There's only one. Representative Ruben Gallego of Arizona said in a statement on Sunday that American troops would come home from Afghanistan since our current course there is not in our national interest. Yeah, it's also brutal imperialism. The U.S. presence in Afghanistan began on October 7, 2001, shortly after the September 11th terrorist attack. And then we invaded Iraq for no reason. Our objectives following that attack were to destroy al-Qaeda, kill Osama bin Laden, this is from the article, and prevent a recurrence of ungoverned space in Afghanistan that allowed for terrorists to plot and plan attacks. We accomplished all those objectives years ago. Although Gallego, a Marine veteran of the Iraq War, seemed to push for a full withdrawal of American troops, he cautioned that we must do so responsibly. A responsible exit, he wrote, would mean continuing to provide security assistance and diplomatic engagement to the Afghan government and aggressively push for a peace deal. All of which seems to undercut the American troops should come home part. Sure does, since the U.S. is currently doing all those things, and yet the war continues unabated. But his statement does note there's 14,000 coalition troops in Afghanistan who have no reason to stay there indefinitely. Yeah, but this whole, whenever you go down, and I hope this person, I'm not familiar with this politician, admittedly, I'm not familiar with all their stances. It is cool that at the very least they said it's time to end this. That's more than everybody else in Congress. It's sad that that's where the bar is, but that's the truth. But yeah, whenever they talk about de-escalation and we need to do so responsibly, that just means they're going to continue more of the same indefinitely. That's always what that's code for. Maybe instead of 14,000 troops, it'll be 11,000 next year. But they're still going to continue to indefinitely do the same shit. 17 years. 17 years and counting. We have military exploitation all over the world, and what does it do? It pads the pockets of oil moguls. That's all it does. So, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of kind of there's kind of some of the more kind of some of the more tired rhetoric that's code for we're going to continue doing more of the same. And hopefully this is a little more than just a rhetorical gimmick to make you think that there's an actual anti-war movement in our elected politics. There's not. There's just not. Are there some individuals that are anti-war? Sure. Yeah, there's some good people in the Senate and in Congress. They're very few and far between. We could probably name them all within a couple moments. But there are some genuinely anti-war people. Some are anti-war people, but I don't agree with on a lot of other things. Like Rand Paul, I agree with his stance on anti-war, but we disagree on almost everything else. But there are some anti-war members out there. But they are very much a minority in elected officials. Military budgets pass, and we don't even hear about it. It's not even really discussed. And it votes with, it passes with an overwhelming majority 100% of the time. There's just a few dissenting voices. So we don't have an anti-war movement in elected officials. We have an anti-war movement amidst the people. So, and that's what happens when you have two pro-war parties to choose from. So, thank you for sharing that. And hopefully there will be more people saying it's time to end the war in Afghanistan. And hopefully they'll actually have a very concrete way of doing it instead of this whole quote-unquote responsible de-escalation, which usually is code for we're going to keep doing the same shit. Let's go to the chat to end it today. And preferably end on something positive. Platypus. I hope everyone has a nice day. Thank you, Platypus. Love my Get Your News On with Ron truth bombs at 4:20 a.m. Thank you for being up for this, Platypus. I know you're over in Australia. Marcus, happy NHL season, Ron. Hope to see you in the playoffs. Well, we'll be seeing each other before that. You know something I actually did that I'm kind of proud of? Not proud. I mean, proud's a weird way to put it. But I splurged and I bought the NHL ticket from NHL.com. I just decided, I don't have cable, and I realized I haven't given myself a birthday gift in years. So I was like, this is my early birthday gift, and I just bought it. I was like, I'm buying it. And I could have just gotten my team, the Penguins, for a little cheaper, but I forked out the extra $20 to get all the games. And I told my girlfriend, I'm like, look, I could have just gotten Penguins, but I got all the games. So I just want at least one time where I come home and you are watching a Bruins game on your own accord. That's what I want. She's a Bruins fan because she's from Massachusetts. So I'm like, I just want one. I just want one situation. So yeah, I got the NHL ticket. Stoked. And so far, I mean, it's only been 2 games, but so far I have watched every Pens game. And it's pretty cool because you can get it on demand. And if you miss a game, you can just fast forward and see all the scoring if you want. The Rangers, haven't seen the Rangers at all. Sagittary Grape. I'm not sure. I don't know how they're looking this year. I know the Caps are looking ridiculous. I can say that. The Pens did beat the Caps in their first game. It was a fantastic game though, and the Caps look ridiculous. They are going to be a cup contender again, and I hope the Penguins are too. We'll see. So we'll see. Daniel, you're smoking again. I didn't know you quit, but good for you. Don't they black out local games, though, if you don't have cable? That's how the NBA TV works, unfortunately. There's some blackouts, but no, I bought it directly through the NHL. And what you get is you get all the games on demand. So it should have nothing to do with your cable package. I didn't do it through my cable package. Penguins, I wonder if they still have a Penguin mascot. They still do. The Penguins is still the worst name for a sports team. I guess I never thought about it. You know, it's what I grew up with. Are you going to be on tomorrow, Ron? Yes, I will be, Karen. I will be on tomorrow. Can't stop, won't stop. So yeah, I did that. But yes, we will be on tomorrow. And we'll be on Wednesday, and we'll be on Thursday. And then we're taking a break, you guys. We're taking a break because I'm going over to the UK. I leave for the UK on Sunday. Getting a little nervous even. But I'm stoked. So, yeah, that's happening. I'm going to England, Scotland, and Ireland. I will be doing some sets over there. So all my UK friends, keep an eye out on my Twitter. I am going to be doing some spots. And I will let you know where I'm at so you can come hang out. Yeah. So we are totally out of time. Let me do a little bit of housekeeping. Tour dates coming up. RonPlacone.com for all my dates. November 2nd, I will be in Sacramento, California. November 3rd, San Francisco, California. Get your tickets now if you haven't gotten them yet because we are running low on them. We are running low. November 10th, I'll be in Austin, Texas. Get your tickets for that now. There's a limited amount available because it's going to be in the ZT shop, ZHITA.com, also our sponsor. And November 23rd, come hang out with me in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, my hometown. Get your tickets now, ronplacone.com. And guys, our Florida tour is finished. It is confirmed, and all those shows are available now. All tickets are available. What is the Florida run? January 9th, Gainesville, Florida. January 10th, Jacksonville. Or no, excuse me. Fucked it up. Back up. January 9th, Gainesville, Florida. January 10th, Coral Gables, Florida, which is basically Miami. January 11th, Orlando, Florida. January 12th, Jacksonville, Florida. Tickets for all that available now. Want to support this show on the sustainability end? Patreon.com/RonPlacone. For a give what you can level, you get all kinds of perks. And you're going to get my album delivered to your inbox. And guess what I just found out over the weekend? My album is coming out on November 2nd. I am stoked. The album's coming out. We finished off the editing, and I can't wait for you guys to friggin' hear it. There will be some music on it. So sign up. Become a patron. It's the best way to get it. Become a patron. Pay what you can level. You can give whatever level you're comfortable with. I love you all very much. Thank you so much for being part of this. This has been Get Your News On With Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. I will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern, and I will see you then.